We've been saying for ages on this show that if you can't handle your mortgage repayments at an interest rate level of around 8 to 10%, you should probably talk to a financial planner about maybe selling your house now and downsizing before a real housing price crisis hits and you lose value because you're forced to sell when everyone else is trying to sell and the prices go down. Interest rates are not coming down anytime soon, in my humble opinion. And if they do come down for a couple of rate cycles, it won't be sustained. This is simply because of the economic truth that our governments have been printing money like crazy for the past few years, and that simply must result in inflation. Forget the distraction and the pathetic lie of the Greens and Labor that Coles and Woolies are to blame for inflation. Oh my God, they're not. They make 2.5% profit a year. That is consistent with the world average for supermarkets, and it means there's no price gouging going on. Government overspending and then borrowing and printing money to pay for their gross irresponsibility, that is what causes inflation by definition. And while inflation is high, rates will stay high because central banks like the Australian Federal Reserve and the US Fed, the ones who set the rates, the base rates, will keep those rates high to curb spending and investment, to try to slow the economy down so that inflation doesn't go nuts. The Reserve Bank did not raise the base rate this week, but it didn't lower it either. It kept it steady at 4.35%. This is the base rate that the Reserve Bank lends money to the other banks and that they then lend on to us with a little profit margin in there. This is the fourth time in a row that they haven't put the rate up, despite higher than expected inflation. So the pressure is actually on for them to rise, not to come down at any time soon. At the start of this year, it was forecast by economists all over the world that interest rates would start to come down around about now. But now the experts are saying that we won't see rate cuts from the US Fed until late this year. And what they do, many economies will follow. Who knows if we'll see them in Australia though. In any case, I doubt that even if we do get 0.25% rate cut or 0.5% this year, that it will be sustained. So the cautious thing to do would be to prepare for a high interest rate world in the years ahead. The only way to fix this mess is to shut the Greens and Labor up with their nonsense voodoo economics. Tax the rich bastards. Yeah, right. There aren't that many rich bastards left to tax, guys. And we actually did the math on that in a previous show. And if you taxed all the rich people in Australia, all the billionaires, at 75%, the money you'd raise would not be enough to pay the interest bill on our national debt for 1 year. So you can forget that garbage nonsense from the communists in the Green Party. They don't even know what an economy is, those people, so don't take any advice from them. No, the only way to fix it is to rein in government spending, to tighten our belts, as Bob Hawke used to say back in the day when politicians were at least a little bit smart and responsible. Our Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, is going to announce Australia's first budget surplus in 15 years on Tuesday night, and he bloody well should. They took in $750 billion in tax this past year. That's $100 billion more than they usually rake in and that they expected to take in. If he can't balance 1 year's budget with that extra win at the pokies, he's a total loser. All that extra tax revenue came from taxes on commodities and taxes on us. So no brownie points for Chalmers or Elbow, thanks. What we need to look out for is not just a surplus in the budget this week, but an actual cut in the amount of government spending. That windfall that they got shouldn't be spent. It should be used to pay down our crippling national debt that's rising every minute. As a report from the economic boffins at EY, formerly Ernst & Young, says, quote, "The Treasurer has promised to bank most of the revenue windfall, but in reality he needs to bank all of it and make tough decisions about existing policy to put Australia's federal budget back on track." But the award for the line of the week goes to opposition Treasury spokesman Angus Taylor, the shadow treasurer, who said, quote, "A drover's dog can deliver a budget surplus this year." I love that. So try not to throw up when the Labor kids start slapping themselves on the backs about their budget surplus this coming week. I don't believe those conspiracy theories that Google and YouTube are suppressing right-wing content. I think they're fair to everybody. Let's prove that right. Get onto that subscription button down there and press it, get the bell pressed, Watch the full episodes here. Have a look at pressing that button too. I mean, there's so many buttons to press to subscribe. Just subscribe.